Good morning, everybody. We're live from the birdhouse. It is Tuesday, February 28th. We are on our last day of February. And if you are in the Rochester area, we are finally getting our winter. And we've had a good amount of snow and some more to follow this week. So it'll be interesting to see if that brings some more birds out to feeders. Certainly, the birds have been quite hungry. We've been hearing those reports from just about everybody here at the store that their birds are definitely everything in sight. So we're always wanting to know what kind of things you're seeing at your feeders. If you have any reports, you can put those in the comments. If you have any questions, you can throw those in there too. And we will get started here. The first thing is I've noticed a huge increase in the birds singing. Yesterday, I had a cardinal in the yard just singing its heart out. It was singing and singing and singing. So the birds are definitely starting to get more chatty. The house sparrows are very vocal. I've heard cardinals singing, tufted titmouse, the mourning doves are starting to sing. Carolina wrens are always kind of chatty. They've been definitely singing, so it's been fun to hear some of the different birds out there with their calls. If you guys have been getting red-winged blackbirds, we've heard a lot of people saying they have heard red-winged blackbirds, that kind of rattling call as they've been in their yard as well. So if you've heard any bird calls, throw those in the comments too. I'm curious what kind of things you guys are hearing. And as far as your sightings, there's been some pretty fun stuff. This photo was sent in on Saturday from Bob, who says had a large flock of snow geese fly over yesterday, roughly 100 or so. Then a few hours later, saw another group of about 20 fly over, heading northwest. So some snow geese on the move, probably on their way to that Montezuma area. They definitely flow through there every year. So it'll be interesting to see when that huge flock of snow geese arrives. Some more photos that were sent in by Bob. Here are some bluebird photos, and we've been getting so many reports of people talking about bluebirds checking out their houses, some other birds popping in and out of bird houses that have been left out for the winter. So that's been some pretty common behavior that we've heard of over the last 2 weeks or so, that the birds are really starting to explore their houses. They're not nesting yet. It's too early, but as soon as that ground thaws out, you might want to think about putting your bird houses in the ground and getting them all ready for the season ahead. So here's some bluebird photos here. Here's the female. You can see she's more of a light colored blue, and the male is a darker, brighter colored blue. And then here's another male bluebird here, and a group as well. So a bunch of bluebird photos sent in there by Bob. And then here's some sparrows, some different sparrows. We see a lot of the times house sparrows coming to feeders and coming to backyards. But here's some other sparrows too. This is a song sparrow here. And then here's the tree sparrow. So that's going to be one that is more common in the wintertime. You're not going to really see them come breeding season. So this is the American tree sparrow, it's called. Here's a white-throated sparrow. So nice little mix of sparrows there. And not a sparrow, but this is a finch. This is a house finch. So some nice photos here sent in by Bob. Here's a white-breasted nuthatch. And I love this picture here of the Carolina wren eating some suet. So it is sitting on that Squirrel Buster suet feeder, that squirrel-proof feeder there. That'll keep the squirrels out, but the birds absolutely love it. So there's a nice little Carolina wren and a cardinal, female cardinal. Here's an action shot sent in by Karen of what looks to me to be a sharp-shinned hawk. They can be kind of hard to tell sharp-shinned from Cooper's hawks, but the tail, the squared-off tail on this makes me think it's probably a sharp-shinned hawk. Karen says, looking so proud of his catch. Glad it was just a starling. So this has been some common behavior we've been hearing about in backyards and seeing for ourselves, that birds of prey, especially the sharp-shinned hawk and Cooper's hawks, come to backyards in the winter months and they go after birds at feeders. And this one caught a starling in Karen's yard. Here's another picture that was sent in by Sue, who was wondering if this is a Cooper's hawk, and it does look like a Cooper's hawk to me. Cooper's hawks are sometimes described as having what's called a fierce eye or a piercing eye, and you can look at, and in the photo you can see it here that it does have that fierce looking eye, and it does have a larger looking head than, say, this photo here, which makes me think it's a sharp-shinned hawk. This bird looks like it has a smaller, more rounded head, and in this photo here from Sue, of what I believe to be a Cooper's hawk, it has that larger head. Some more birds of prey. Here is a photo that was sent in by Mark, who says 6 eagles of all ages on the log this past week. Something you don't see all the time at Irondequoit Bay. So here's some juvenile eagles along with some adults all hanging out there on the log at Irondequoit Bay. Great place to go to see bald eagles. If you're looking for eagles, that's the place for you as far as local places here. Here's a northern flicker. He says northern flicker at my feeder. So here's a couple pictures of the northern flicker coming to a finch feeder, surprisingly. But it looks like he puts in the finch favorite seed, because he says dark-eyed junco and cardinal love that fancy finch seed. So the sunflower hearts that are in there will attract other birds like this flicker, and even a cardinal. We don't hear about cardinals coming to finch feeders all too often, but with those sunflower hearts in there, they will come to it. And here's some goldfinches up there as well. Goldfinches absolutely love that finch favorite blend. And then here's a dark-eyed junco as well coming to the finch seed. I've been getting a ton of dark-eyed juncos since putting out one of the pine cones that we sell that's covered in seed, has a lot of millet on it, and boy, those juncos are going crazy for it. It's been so much fun to watch, especially now that we've got the snow. It's fun to watch them jumping all around in the snow, going after the seeds. So lots of dark-eyed juncos out there. As far as this year goes, there haven't been a lot of reports of this guy, the common redpoll. There's been a few reports scattered throughout the area, but not all too much. So this year has not been that good of a year for the common redpoll, but there are a few different sightings that have been around town, so you never know. You just might happen across one. But if you're out birding, if you're out by large fields especially, look for snow buntings. You can still see snow buntings now. There have been a good amount of reports of snow buntings around. And while you're out in that area, also look for horned larks. These little guys here, they will sometimes be in that same kind of an area, same kind of habitat. And while you're out scanning the skies, look for red-tailed hawks. There's red-tailed hawks are here all year round. Actually, I saw a turkey vulture yesterday flying around, which seemed a little out of season, but there's been some of those around too, actually. But look for red-tailed hawks. And there's also what are called rough-legged hawks that'll come down here for the winter months. Now is still the time to see rough-legged hawks. Here's a couple pictures of those. And if you're out in your fields, you're looking for your snow buntings and horned larks, keep an eye out for what are called northern harriers. So they tend to fly low over fields or over marshes. They tend to have their head kind of pointed down like in this photo here. And one of their most identifying characteristics is they have what's called a white rump patch here. And the males and females do look different. So this is the female. The female is brown like this, and the males are gray. They're sometimes called gray ghosts. So this is the male, but you can see that even the male still has that white patch on its rump there. So keep an eye out for them. And then the same kind of bird of prey that will inhabit that type of habitat during the night is going to be the short-eared owl. And there's been some scattered reports of short-eared owls too, as far as locally in the Rochester area. Buckland Park's probably the best place to go if you're looking for somewhere quite close to home. At dusk, keep an eye out for the short-eared owls. And finally, one other bird of prey you might see right now, or you're more likely to see, is going to be merlin. Lots of reports of these little guys, these little falcons called merlin around. They look similar in size to kestrels, but they don't have as striking features on their faces. And that is my little update for you guys. If you have any comments or questions, you can throw those in the comments here. Randy is on and says, chickadees and goldfinches are back. Had a dark-eyed junco visit Saturday. And he says, nice meeting you Saturday at Wild Wings. That must have been for our bird walk, possibly that we did a couple weeks ago. Dina says, "Good morning, everyone." And Anne says, "Wow, your northern flicker has much more color than mine. Maybe because it's close up." Yeah, these pictures of the flicker were quite bright. So yeah, it could be because it was closer up. It could be the lighting there. It does look quite bold and quite the colors are quite bold and bright there. Dina says lots of house finches and goldfinches. The yellow is coming back. Yeah, we've gotten several people who've said that they've seen their goldfinches have some more kind of bright yellow patches on their bodies. So that's always a good time of the year when they start turning gold. Spring is around the corner, even though we're supposed to get possibly 10 inches of snow on Friday. So that'll be fun though to see what kind of birds, if that brings in more birds to feeders. Keep in mind, if you're having trouble with keeping snow off your feeders, we do have weather guards too that you can hang above your feeders. That way the snow just piles up on top of the weather guards and it leaves your feeders dry underneath so the birds can access it a little bit better. We have plenty of those in stock as well if you're looking for something to kind of help clear off the snow on your feeders. Lynn is also on, says good morning. Good morning, Lynn. So it looks like that's everybody's comments and questions. As far as we know, as far as we can make it in, we'll be back on Saturday with another broadcast. And until then, have a great week, and we'll